Today we're going to have a look at planning our news report about our volcanic eruption. So I'm just going to go through how I would like you to tackle the planning sheet. You have got one of these on the Seesaw program. So we've got various different things that we need to consider. The first thing we need to think about is a title for our news report. So I'm going to call mine Volcanic Catastrophe, but you can think of some other name for yours. Now, as we look at this, we need to start with our introduction. And in our introduction, we need to think about two things. And we need to think about where our volcano has erupted and when. So for here, we need to find a location. Preferably somewhere in another country. I'm going to say in Italy, and I'm going to choose maybe a small village in Italy. And when? Now I need a time of day. Now this is important because we've been learning about fronted adverbials, and adverbials of time are very good. So I need to think of a time of day. So on mine I'm going to say early in the morning. Of course yours is going to be different. I'm going to put just before sunrise. But yours could be at night time, it could be in the afternoon, it could be any time of day that you like. Okay, and then on here I have got 4 different areas to think about. Now I might not use all 4 of those, but I need to think of various things to put in my news report. So after I've introduced it and said where and when, I'm going to, my subheading now is about the first stage of the eruption. So that's what I'm going to describe what happened. And I'm thinking about the story that we've been reading in class about the pack of Pompeii and all the signs that the volcano was going to erupt. And we had things like animals disappearing and the ground was trembling. So I'm going to describe the local villagers feeling the ground trembling. I'm going to describe animals being unsettled in their pens on the farms, the horses escaping from their stables. So I'm giving a bit of background about the build-up to the eruption. And then the second one, I'm going to describe the actual eruption. And here, I'm also going to put in some vocabulary here, which I think might be useful when I actually write my report. So for the first stage, I could put rumbling for the ground. I could put trembling. Those are good words for me to use. The eruption. Now we looked at synonyms in class not too long ago, so I'm going to put some of those synonyms down. I'm going to put devastating explosion, destructive explosion, deadly force, and you might be able to think of lots of other synonyms, but those are just a few. This is just to give you an idea. Of course, you're going to put as much information as you can on this planning sheet. So with the eruption, I'm going to discuss the actual explosion, and again I might put some words in here which describe the explosion in itself and maybe the angry fire that comes from the ground. I'm also going to write about the smoke, the thick black clouds of smoke, and I'm going to write lots of notes in here, or you are, and I'm going to mention it spreading over the town. So I've got my first stage of the build-up, my second stage where I've got the actual eruption. I just got to change pen because I think that's running out. And on the third one, I'm going to think about some eyewitness accounts. And I'm going to discuss some people who actually saw it. So I need to choose a couple of people. So maybe I've got a local farmer. And let's say he's 53. And he's going to quote, and remember we put these in speech marks, and we always have a punctuation mark before we close the speech marks. If it's not an exclamation mark or a question mark, it's a comma. And he's going to say how his animals escaped, and then he and his family had to get away when they saw the mountain erupting. And then I'm going to have a lady who lived in the village. And these people might describe how scared they were, and maybe thinking, linking this into the lesson that we did recently about thinking about what we can see, what we can hear, what we hope when we looked at that volcanic eruption on the video film that we watched. Maybe these people are thinking, I was desperate to escape as I saw the mountain exploding, and I hope everybody will be safe and I would be able to, me and my family will be able to get away. So some eyewitness quotations in there. And then finally, my last piece here is what we call the aftermath. And I'm going to consider here, what are the consequences for my town? What's going to happen next? Rebuild the village? You decide. Maybe they're going to have meetings and put things in place to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen again, or they're much safer. So I want you to think of some ideas. So this is just to give you some idea of getting some notes down to help you plan your particular news report. And then right at the end, we have a conclusion where we just summarize what has happened and that we're reporting about this deadly eruption and what is going to happen next. So that's just to give you some ideas. I've not done the whole thing for you there, but that just gives you some ideas about how to plan our report ready for writing it tomorrow. So you get as much detail as you can on that plan, and that will really help you.